MMA Insight 2011. Okay, let's go. Yeah, 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 yeah.
What up, fight fans? This is Darius Brown for HitTheRopes.com. Just gonna give you our UFC Live Marquardt versus Story predictions and preview of the upcoming fights. It looks like one of the most stacked cards of the year, minus some big names. I know we've had some awesome cards up to this point here. A lot of it has depended on the firepower of the big names like the GSPs and whatnot. But this card doesn't really have the big names. But if you look at the resumes, we have potentials for some excellent fights, and that's all that matters at the end of the day here, especially since we're not dealing with pay-per-view buy rates. It's going to be on the Versus Network and Facebook. Predominantly, most of the prelims make up the bulk of the card, which will be on Facebook. My only disappointment going into the card, not the big names, but the fact that it's not going to be on YouTube. I really enjoyed the last broadcast that had YouTube prelims, and it's also a great way to reach out because, believe it or not everyone has Facebook nowadays. So for those who are fighting off the Facebook takeover, as they'll soon take over the entire world, YouTube is still an option, but doesn't appear to be at this point. So with that being said, let's take a look at the fights. Primarily, let's take a look at those who have the most to prove. First, it's not those, it's one man. One man has the most to prove coming into Marquardt versus Story Live. And it's got to be Nate Marquardt. You know, in addition to his name being on the marquee, bing, he's got a whole lot to prove because he's dropping down to welterweight after I guess you would say, an unsuccessful stint at middleweight. He got a shot at the champion, Anderson Silva. Still believes that he could beat him, but you know what? He's fallen short not once, but twice in attempts to become the #1 contender yet again. So, with that being said, his career needs to be revitalized, and it's doing so by dropping down to welterweight, where he should be the bigger opponent. You know, his good buddy, training partner GSP holds the belt there. He says he'll wait till the time comes, but it apparent since GSP gave him his blessing to move down, there'll be no love lost when those two go to lock gloves. So he's got the most to prove. Because he's got nowhere to go but down to the welterweight division here. So he's going to have to step it up and show that he is worthy of a title shot at this division. The most to lose. Let me take a look here. Let me think about this. Most to lose. Taking a look at the card. Ah, yes, Pat Barry. Pat Barry, my friend, you've got the most to lose. I know you seem to be enjoying life as you often, way too often, are seen dancing around in the tighty whities. I don't understand the fascination over my head. But, you know, you've got the most to lose. Why? Because you had so much upside with those vicious, devastating kicks. But, you know, since the Crow Cop fight, I don't know, man. You know, you took it easy on your idol, and then you went up against Joey Beltran. We were expecting fireworks, and you didn't. You might have thrown one leg kick in the first round. Didn't really get started with your patented trademark leg kicks until the second round, and even then, you know, Joey's a tough dude. I'll give him credit. But come on, man, I'm going to need better. Now you've got a named opponent yet again in Czech Congo. Congo is a guy that can be dangerous at times. We see ups and downs with Congo. You need to go ahead and finish Czech Congo in impressive fashion. Otherwise, you might be seeing yourself back on the prelims. We're already here on the free TV. Prelims is the next level to go. So Pat Barry's got the most to lose in this contest. Most likely to get cut. Now I know this isn't a pleasant topic. You know, times are hard for everybody, but I mean, let's be real. There are several guys on this card that have 3 losses coming in to this fight. Now, typically, Dana White says, you're gone after 2. But, you know, I guess with the entertainment value, if you could still put on a heck of a fight, he's going to keep you around. So, you know, those guys, taking a look at it, let's see here. Checking out the card, we've got, Matt Brown, Tyson Griffin, and Joe Stevens, all with 3 losses. There's a couple with 2 as well, but you know, those 3 guys, the eye is going to be on them the most. Now, Joe Stevens, Dana White seems to favor him. Seems to be a good guy from interviews and whatnot. And then we've got Tyson Griffin, who looked to be on the breaking point, but he's dropped down to featherweight. Featherweight's kind of thin right now, I would say. So maybe even with a 4th loss, maybe this is being extra nice. Maybe he'll still keep his job just because of the status of the featherweight division. But Matt Brown, you were a favorite in the house for Tough Enough, or excuse me, the Ultimate Fighter, and what happened since then? You ran off. You had like a 3-fight win streak, 4-fight win streak, something in that neighborhood, and then after that, 3-fight loss streak. So I mean, if Matt Brown, he's a tough dude. I liked him. He was one of my favorites in the house. Still one of my favorites now, but he hasn't lived up to the expectations. So with that being said, if he cannot get past Josh Howard, who he promised we're going to see some fireworks, if it does not happen, I'm sorry, I think your time is up. It's just the nature of the beast. He'll work his way out, maybe get right back in, or maybe he'll do the right thing and get that victory, and then you know, his job is safe for now. We'll see. Nobody likes anyone to get cut, but that's how it's going to play out. But looking at most likely to steal a show, one of those guys on that previously named list of you know, danger to have their walking papers, Tyson Griffin. I know it's been a while. I believe it was 2009 since we last seen it, but this dude's got 5 fight of the night bonuses. So with that being said, I got to go with history. He's been on a bit of a skid here as of late, obviously, but you know, if there's any time to crank it up, any time to have his career rejuvenated, it would have to be with the drop to featherweight here. Let's see how this turns out. I think we're in for an awesome fight. Manville is coming off a loss to Jose Aldo, where he never got going. You know, there's good anticipation going into the bout, but Jose was way too much for him. Picked him apart before finishing the fight in the 2nd round. So these 2 guys have a lot to prove. Tyson Griffin has everything to prove. That's all the components of an awesome fight. So I'm predicting that as our fight of the night here on the prelims, and it's going to probably get shown somewhere in the versus card if we get a finish. So I think it'll get promoted. And then lastly, the most to gain. The most to gain this week, taking a look at the card, let's see, Matt Mitrione. Matt Mitrione he's got an awesome personality from what we've seen as of late. In the house at the Ultimate Fighter, not so much, you know, the mind games, not unnecessary, really unnecessary, but you know, and I thought he was a loser, let's be honest. I thought he was a loser. But as we get to see more and more of, I guess, what would be the real Mitrione, we find out he is a jokester, and he's very entertaining. So he did turn, you know, even though I've never met him, you know, from what I've seen, he's swayed my my opinion of him. So he tells it like it is which is what I like to do. So that's another thing that I like about him. But most importantly, what I like about him is he's always improving in the cage. You know, first it was his hands. You know, he's taking out Kimbo, whoever that Joe Schmo is. Took out Kimbo Slice, which, you know, may not be like an oh my gosh moment, but you know, he has shown, you know, his hands. But, you know, more recently in his last fight, he showed his footwork. He was constantly on the move, dancing and just picking apart his opponent here. So as he goes up against Christian Marquardt, I think this is the revealing, the unwaking, the display of Matt Mitrione, as I think with the win here, we're going to see him co-main eventing, especially because look at the heavyweights as of late. Dana White in particular has been very displeased with the heavyweight division, specifically talking about Frank Mir and Roy Nelson as of late, who have been headlining, who those guys even, you know, those guys have been co-main eventing as of recent. And you know what? They might get trumped by Matt Mitrione if he comes out and plays before us, or maybe they will find themselves staring on the other side of the cage with him. But either way, I think he has the most to gain here and will look to do big things. So make sure you keep an eye on Matt Mitrione if you haven't lately. But that's been our rundown for HitTheRopes.com on our predictions, our thoughts, or at least my thoughts. Some of the guys, they tend to disagree, and that's what we love about HitTheRopes.com. You get the best of everything. So make sure you check it out here. Also, make sure you check out HitTheRopes.com for our live play-by-play of the Versus program. UFC Live, Marquardt versus Story. Very entertaining bouts, as I said at the beginning of this. Follow us on Twitter at HitTheRopes, as well as myself, Miss HTR, Mr. Wikipedia, and all the guys there that are on our crew. Thank you. Please comment, put your hate, put your love, your disagreements. I don't care. Just comment. Do something. What are you just looking at me for? Do something. Subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Darius, MMA Insights, and HitTheRopes.com.